When I first started meeting pedophiles and working with people who were genuinely pedophilic, I think it took about 2 weeks to grow the skin. And I tell all my students this, is that it takes time, not nearly as much time as one would think. We give a person different kinds of tasks: verbal tasks, nonverbal tasks, spelling, reading, memory, ability to control their own thought patterns. We found several, very important things. The largest main one was IQ. It turned out that people who are sexually interested in children 10 to 15 IQ points lower than average. Then we had physical height, again, part of routine, medical checkups. People who were arrested for offenses against children were about 2.5 centimeters on average shorter than people who were arrested for sex offenses against adults. 2.5 centimeters in physiological terms is very, very large. It's about double the effect that we would get if a woman smoked when she was pregnant. The next big one, handedness. Roughly, 10% of the population, 12% of the mainstream population is left-handed, or non-right-handed technically. But it was about 30%, 35% of the pedophiles. The only other groups that have non-right-handedness rates that high are schizophrenics, bipolars, and people with autism. Whatever it is that's wrong, there has to be a piece in the brain, and whatever piece of that had to have been developmental. We were looking at first really in the surface of the brain. The surface of the brain is composed of what we call gray matter. It's where the major differences are. It wasn't until a few days after that we found something that none of us thought. There were huge differences in white matter. And all sat and we're scratching out white matter. Nothing's ever in white matter. It's cabling tissue that puts the different parts of the brain work together. How could this possibly lead to pedophilia? It just made no sense to us. Then it was just one of those times, where a scientist gets lucky, which does not happen a lot. I had my data, and I was pulling my hair. I could not make any sense of it. Put it down. Another stack of papers on my desk that I had to read. And all of a sudden, one explained the other, and it just all of a sudden made sense. Men, when they see somebody attractive, naturally widen their stance. Their voice goes down a little bit. Women, when they see somebody attractive, start touching their hair, start accentuating their, all completely unconsciously. When we see a kid, our voices go up. We take on an avuncular turn. Oh, are you lost? Can I get you? Where's your mother? Instead of evoking the responses that come with perceiving a kid, it's as if it's cross-wired. And when it sees a kid or perceives a kid, it's triggering the sex response system instead of the parental nurturing system. A literal cross-wiring. Nobody is in control of or no man is in control of whatever it is he's interested in or not interested in. I think just growing up gay made me naturally sympathetic to that story because, I grew up being interested in different things from everybody else. There do exist the psychopathic, it's very easy to call them evil. There is nothing we can do to help keep society safe except to keep these people out of society. They exist. But for the great majority of them, there's other pieces to the story. These are people for whom there's no reason to think that they did anything inappropriate, that they ever committed any kind of an offense, but they come in to a psychologist with, Doc, I got a problem. They can't tell anyone, they can't tell their friends, they have no one to go to for support. There are many situations in which a mental health professional, psychologist, psychiatrist, whoever, is required to report this to protect society. But of course, the pedophiles are in society. They know that this is the regulation, and therefore they don't come in the first place. We should be creating situations where they can come in, remain anonymous, and receive sex drive reducing medications or counseling or group therapy or whatever is appropriate to the situation we're in. Unfortunately, the automatic gut reaction that so many people have to this person is evil, the correct thing to do is remove them from society forever, is actually making things worse rather than better. We need to be able to be dispassionate and clinical and think rationally about the situation rather than giving in to our first instinct, which is usually shoot first and ask questions later, which is unfortunately a great deal of public policy.